3, 4. Yes, sir. 1, 2, 3, 4. How's the sound coming out now down below? It's nice to be able to hear myself after last weekend being shut in a fishbowl for a week. Five minutes of registration. 5 minutes of registration left. About 15 minutes of track time. Make the most of it. 15 minutes of track time.
Riders, last call to register. Last call.
Riders, last couple of laps, final couple of minutes. We will have a brief riders meeting and we will be underway. Thank you. Riders, the track is closed. Last time through the home stretch, the track is closed. Riders, the track is now closed. All riders, please, to the white table. By where our score sheet is, riders meeting. Quick as we can get the riders meeting done, we will be underway. Riders meeting about to start. Please don't miss the meeting and then ask questions afterwards. Riders meeting about to start. Okay, reading from the start list as I have Annelies Oosterreich, Rebecca Martz, Christina Panella, Evelyn Todoro, Trish Albert, Kim Fuller leads us out, our first 6 riders. First rider goes out. This is Annelies Oosterreich, and we should be looking for rider 114, Rebecca Martz. Second rider on the track is 114, Rebecca Martz.
I got nothing. Okay, just I may have to trade watches and you might not be able to back up. I got nothing, so.
Can't see it.
14.199. 14.26 by this watch. I'll write it down.
Okay, that's the first time on the board, just over 14 seconds. Be a bit more accurate in 1 second. It's our second rider looking to start there. That's Christina. And checking our start list, we should have Evelyn, Trish, Kim. There's no bob time.
15.391.
84 will be a scratch. Do you need me to try another watch or? Is Christina starting her 200 now?
Working now. I don't know what his problem was.
And this rider 11. So this is Evelyn coming in with her finish. And rider 57, Trish Albert out there. Trish being timed, rider 29. Kim Fuller will round out the ladies. And it'll be our men up next. 143, Mike Steigers. Mike Steigers, 143, round to the start line. And 136, Chris Freeman starts his warm-up. From Chris Freeman, Gary Morgan, Michael Tharp, Bill Thompson, and Quinn Shearer. And 136, that's Chris Freeman just started my stopwatch there. No multitasking, start the stopwatch, stop speaking. Hearing the bell, Mr. Gary Morgan and Michael Tharp will take to the track. Bill Thompson, Quinn Shearer. And this is Michael Tharp coming in for his finish. And Bill Thompson hears the bell as he comes through. And hearing the bell, Quinn Shearer, and taken to the track, rider 193. He's going to have to come and give me a clue with his name. I've got Afato Quay, but I'm sure I got some mistakes in that. Afote. And that's Quinn Shearer riding that one out. Afote Quay up next to hear the bell. And then we'll be over to John Everest, Emery Hancock, John Tomlinson, Dan Kaylor, Tucker Glasgow. 13 was Chris Everest there. And 157 here in the bell is Emery Hancock. And 36, John Tomlinson takes to the track next. John Tomlinson hears the bell. Gary Kaler on the track. And our numbers going through from in staging. 164 is Tucker Glasgow, Frank Trevesio, Nick Oosterreich, Valentin Todoro, Howard Buckley. Or 164, Tucker Glasgow ramping it up there. 35, Frank Trevesio. Nick Oosterreich in staging, Valentin Todoro up next. Howard Buckley, George Hernandez. So checking our line back, Nick in staging, Valentin Todoro, Howard Buckley, George Hernandez, Matteo Montesano.
Three of us were all within 100.
And Mr. Nick Oosterreich coming down for his start. And Nick obviously getting a bit of inspiration from the runaround Sue playing at the moment. Putting the fastest runaround time on the clock so far. At about 11.5. Valentino coming in for his start. And on the home stretch, here in the bell, Mr. Howard Buckley. And Jorge Hernandez here in the bell, rider 41. And rider 51, sorry, rider 51, Matteo Montesano, following him out. So Matteo, rider 51, coming in for his finish. Rider 59, Robert Mayfield. From Robert, we hand to Chad Connolly, Andrew Hodges, Kevin O'Donnell, and that rounds out our flying two. We have one more rider to go, Kevin O'Donnell, and then we will go straight in to our women's 5-lap scratch. We will move as quick as we can as clouds are not looking in our favour. So ladies, be ready for your call-up. And our last rider on the track, rider number 1, Mr. Kevin O'Donnell. Ladies, you will be up next. 5-lap scratch. Our track is clear. Ladies, to the rail, please. Ladies on my list: Kim Fuller, Trish Albert, Evelyn Todoro, Christina Panella, Rebecca Martz, and Annalise Oostenrijk. Our ladies are underway. 5-lap scratch. Simple definition of the scratch race. First rider back across the line will be our winner. Riders seeing 3 to go. 3 to go. And our 5-lap scratch equates to 1 mile. Okay, riders, it's time to listen. Our top 12 riders going through: Nick Oostenrijk, Kevin O'Donnell, Howard Buckley, Matteo Montesano, Andrew Hodges, Chad Conley, Valentin Todoro, Frank Travieso, John Everest, Tucker Glasgow, Michael Tharp, and Jorge Hernandez. That is our 12 qualifiers. If your name was not mentioned, you are now at liberty to ride the 5-lap sprint rep. If your name was not mentioned: Bob Mayfield, Chris Freeman, Bill Thompson, Atafe Quay, Gary Morgan, Annalise Oostenrijk, Quinn Shearer, John Tomlinson. Coming in for the finish. Little Annalise takes that one. She may not want to be doing the rep. She may stick with this, but running down from Annalise, Quinn, John Tomlinson, Trish Albert, Christina Panella, Emery Hancock, Mike Steigers, Evelyn Todoro, Kim Fuller, Dan Kayla, Rebecca, and Rob. Oh, Bob is not on the bottom. So top 12 heading through. Rep for anyone else who wants to try and get back in. We give our women a moment just to calm down in case they do want to come back into this rep. We are going to just have a couple of moments breather between the two reps because there are ladies might want to get back in the sprint round. I can see Annalise making some decisions, so we're going to give it a couple of minutes. Final call for our sprint rep. We've tried to give the ladies a chance just to get the breath back in case they wanted to get back in this. This is final call for our sprint rep. This is the 5-lap scratch. It is the repechage for the sprint rounds. First rider across the line will take up position 13. Second rider across the line will take up position 14 in our top 14 riders. Masters, you will be up next, our Masters 5-lap scratch. After this, we will give you a couple of minutes between each one. But it's a sprint evening, it's a miler throw. The easiest way to think of this is like interval training. 4 minutes on, 1 minute off. And cranking that pace through, Mike Steiger's there on the front. Following that down, Rebecca Martz. They're going to be coming around to see 2 to go. Field closing itself down on Mike there on the front. And a bit of mixing and a bit of matching as our riders shake it up to come round to hear the bell with 1 to go. And that looks like rider 59, Bob Mayfield, out the saddle there, kicking it down the back stretch. Gary Morgan steams through. Mentioned his name a few times a week ago at the National Masters event. Gary representing you guys here very well. And Gary puts himself into 14th place. Bob puts himself in 13th. Our 2 riders ready for the sprint rounds. We're going to give this a moment for these guys to unwind, put a couple of minutes on the clock, and then we will be looking to move to our Masters. And if I can put the word out for our masters, I've got Bill Thompson, Michael Tharp, Gary Morgan, Chris Freeman, Mike Steigers, Bob Tyler, and Denny Kaylor. I will give a final call for any masters wanting to join back into this one. And that's our masters under race conditions. And that's Dan Kaylor sitting on the front of our 5-man field. First sprint round is just being printed, as they say, hot off the press. I'll be announcing it, we'll be bringing it down any moment. And it's Chris Freeman leads us down the backstretch. Bill Thompson locked into Chris's wheel, Gary Morgan riding Bill's shoulder. Why does it? Sprint rounds are posted. Be keen, be mean. Look 'em up quick. 2 on the lap card. Two on the lap card. Bill Thompson leads it through. Gary Morgan on his wheel. Mike Steigers sitting third wheel. Gary Morgan lights it up a little bit down that back stretch. Mike Steigers sitting second wheel. And it's Chris Freeman sitting in third wheel as they close it down to here. 1 to go. 1 to go. Gary Morgan holding the pace on the front there. Mike Steigers looking to close that down. Chris Freeman closing in, taking the wide line. And it is going to be down to the line. It's a challenge to the end. And it is. Chris Freeman just coming over the top of Gary Morgan there to Mike Steigers. And Dan Kaylor. Rounding fourth. Bill Thompson rounding us out. Okay, looking for our first heat as soon as we can get our chainring bolts tightened. Looking for Mr. Nick Oosterreich and Mr. Gary Morgan. Gary's certainly putting the laps in early this evening. Been in just about every event so far. Riders, not forgetting holders. Okay, our first heat underway. Nick in the red and black set our fastest time. Gary fought back in the rep to take the second position, and then took second in the Masters 5-lap scratch. So Gary, a rider we cannot get off the track this evening. Our Heat 2 will be Kevin O'Donnell and Robert Mayfield. Following our 7 heats, it'll be our BC scratch race, 5 laps. BC scratch race following these 7 sprint rounds. Kevin O'Donnell high on the track there, rider number 1. And riding first wheel there, rider 59 is Robert Mayfield. Howard Buckley and Jorge up next. Bell ringing on 1 to go. Robert still leading, having to keep a watchful eye over Kevin, weaving left and right on the Velodrome. Robert maintains it down the back stretch, but Kevin puts pedal to the metal, steps on the gas, and runs it home. Kevin puts himself through to our quarterfinals. Robert will head into our second rep to try and get back in our quarters. Heat 3, Howard Buckley and Jorge. Got a kind of David and Goliath clash here. A name I read out last week at Masters Nationals, Mr. Howard Buckley, putting on a stellar performance for you guys here at East Point. And our youngster down there, Jorge. Early attack, catching me off guard. Howard Buckley takes it on the back stretch there. Jorge with all the work to do. Like I said, this is a master rider. You do not put your guard down. You got to keep your wits about you all the time. Rider number 15, Howard Buckley, leads it down, cruises it down that back stretch. Jorge spinning it faster than the washing machine spins. Howard cruising home. Howard secures himself in the quarters. Jorge puts himself into the next rep. And up next, Matty and Michael. Matty in our tiger stripes, zebra stripes, sorry. And it looks like he's going high on the track. Under the watchful eye of Mr. Chad Connolly. Andrew Hodges and Tucker will be up next. That'll follow that, Chad Connolly, John Everest, and rounding it out, Valentine and Frank. So, Maddie in the zebra stripes, rider 51, Mike in the all black track point, East Point track kit. A steady, watchful start for these two riders. As we move through the heats, we get back to a more matched position. And these riders are shoulder on shoulder. Mario winds it up first as they come through for the bell. Eyes on the back stretch and to the pursuit line first. It is Mario. But Mike has closed that gap down. To the line. To the line. Mario just keeps the gas on. Looking for Andrew Hodges and Tucker, Glasgow, up next. Chad Conley and John Everest after that. And we'll round it out with Valentine and Frank. Riders underway. Looks like it's Andrew Hodges, 49, to lead for the first half lap. Tucker taking the high line, keeping a watchful eye. And Andrew continues to lead, rider 49, keeping a solid watch on Tucker. Close enough to shut it down. Can Tucker find a way round high side and low side? Coming into here, one to go. Little dive and a false move there from Tucker, keeping Andrew on his toes. A lot of looking here left and right for Andrew to see which side Tucker's going to attack, and he attacks down the track in corner number 2. Puts 2 bike lengths in the gap with that attack. Andrew with the work to do through corners 3 and 4. And as the gas is on, shoulder to shoulder, Andrew pops across the line first. Putting Tucker in our next rep. Chad and John Everest up next. Going to give a 10-minute warning break there. Just we saw a little bit of lightning. We'll see what happens with this and we'll come back to it. Okay, we're looking as if we're getting clear. We're going to give it 3 minutes. It'll be 8:10. We'll get straight back in. Mr. Chad Connolly, John Everest, rounded out with Valentine and Frank. And then it'll be our BC 5-lap scratch. And back to a rep before we get to our quarterfinals. Okay, let's get this going again. Mr. Chad Connolly and John Everest, to our starter, please. Okay, it's Heat 6, Mr. Chad Connolly and John Everest. John riding low on the track, leading this one out. It'll be our 7th and final heat coming up next, Valentine and Frank. And then we'll move swiftly into our BC 5-lap scratch. We'll go back to the losers of these 7 rounds. A rep for a chance to get in the quarterfinals. A 5-lap scratch. And then our women's 10-lap scratch. Chad Connolly lead. It's way over that side. I mean, the light is not coming from that direction. It's all over the right shoulder. BC scratch race will be up after this. BC scratch race after this. I will call the riders up as quick as our chief referee gives me the go-ahead. Rider 35. That's Frank leading this one out. Valentine riding higher up the track, keeping a watchful eye down on his opponent. As soon as this finishes, we will be over to our BC 5-lap scratch. And Frank holds it off. Valentine will make a move into the rep. Our rep riders could be Gary, Rob, Jorge, Mike, Tucker, John, and Valentine. But up next, our BC scratch race. BC 5-lap scratch. BC riders, you are clear to go to the rail. BC riders to the rail. Our 5-lap sprint rep will be after this. Valentine, Gary, Rob, Jorge, Mike, Tucker, and John. The opportunity for one man to get back in the quarterfinals. And our riders out there are actually racers, believe it or not. It's Tucker Glasgow leads the field-ish as they come round. And a steady pace down our home stretch. Danny Kaler on the front of the field, setting the pace, and he makes that field string out. No peloton as such, that's a pace line. And the riders just happy to let Gary lead this one through. Danny still on the front, Quinn Shearer sitting behind him, John Everest third wheel. And no change from Danny to Quinn to John. Little bit of shuffling coming in, sort of fifth and sixth wheel there. But they continue to let Dan sit on the front. Quinn to John Tomlinson. And John Everest to John Tomlinson. And the back of our field starts to mass up, looking for some kind of attack as they see 2 to go. 2 to go as they come round. But still, Danny Kaler on the front, setting that pace. Some higher riders here sitting 5th and 6th wheel. Afote starting to make a move. John Everest comes high as they hear the bell. Danny Kaler continues to set the pace. Tucker Glasgow goes over the top. John Everest goes on his wheel. And 36, John Tomlinson rounding out the 3. Well, I want to say that's Quinn Shearer sitting behind him, goes for a high line to go for the pass, but our 2 riders to the rail. John Everest comes round Tucker Glasgow for a very smooth finish. Rider 36, John Tomlinson, looking like he pipped for 3rd there. RBC 5 lap. We'll give our BCs a chance to come around the apron and clear. But our sprint rep is back up. Valentine, Gary, Rob, Jorge, Mike, Tucker and John. Our 7 second places from our heats. So we'll give everyone a chance to hear their name and decide whether they're going to go forward again. This sprint rep is for the 8th place in our quarterfinals. And probably by the decision of elimination, our winner of this rep is probably looking like Nick Oosterrijk's opponent. Not wanting to put everyone off. Riders roll out. That's the whistle. A rider becomes a racer on that point. Five laps, 1 mile. Valentine on the front. Tucker Glasgow behind him. And that's Rob Bayfield, if I got the name right. Mayfield, Robert Mayfield sets the pace now as they come in to see 4 to go. Still a rumble of thunder around us, but we're not seeing anything else other than that, so we'll keep an eye on the backstretch there. Rob Mayfield pulls off, Valentine pulls up, Gary Morgan does not want to take that on. They're making Rob continue on the front as he takes it high through corners 3 and 4. It'll be our 5-lap A race after this. Gary Morgan with the attack down the home stretch, seeing, I think, okay, sorry for the pause. They saw 2 as they went round there. They are seeing 2 to go. 2 to go as they come down. Rob Mayfield still on the front. Valentine keeping a close eye. Jorge sitting in their 3rd wheel. Gary Morgan attacks again. Nick Oosterreich could be watching this one closely. This will be his next opponent in the quarterfinals. And it's Gary Morgan brings it round for 1 to go. Valentine tucked in tight. Jorge with no gap between him and Valentine. High line for Rob Mayfield as he comes over. Tucker Glasgow holding the attack down the backstretch to the last minute, but it's Valentine head down, looking to keep as aero as he can in corners 3 and 4. Jorge with a big challenge on. Valentine looks over the shoulder but has secured that. Valentine takes himself into the quarterfinals. And we give our riders a chance just to unwind onto the apron. A riders to the rail, please. A riders to the rail. 5 laps on the cards. A riders to the rail. Last call for our A riders. Last call for our A riders. Because of the size of the field, these guys will be riding a full neutral lap. They will be listening for the bell. They need to stay together, no more than about a bike length between any of the riders. They will need to close those gaps up and get together as one field. Out of corner 4, they will be looking to hear the whistle. And we will take those riders and turn them into racers. They'll see 5 laps as they come round. Okay, sprinkler rain coming down now, so we're going to give this somewhere between 10, 15 minutes. See what the call is. One of those unpredictable evenings. Earliest possible start time, looking at the weather forecast, will be 9:10. 9:10 will be the earliest start time. Okay, we are going to try and kick this off again at 9:20. 9:20, just over 5 minutes. We will go back to our A 5-lap scratch. A 5-lap scratch. 2-minute warning. Riders, 2-minute warning. We will resume with our A riders, A 5-lap scratch. And we will be pumping through these races. A 5-lap scratch, straight into the women's 10-lap after that. Riders, A riders to the board. We will give you guys a chance to complete your lap to get to the board. A riders to the rail. A riders together as quick as you can. Riders become racers. You are under race conditions. And we have a race straight from the gun. Can't quite see who the rider is from here. This impaired lighting, but I do see, I think, Mr. Chad Conley on the front there. But it's shaking and baking. It's changing up all the time. That looks like Gary Morgan leading us through there. Nick Oosterreich sitting on his tail. Rob Mayfield following that through. It's changing. It's rotating. Let's see who hangs, who moves. It's 5 laps, 1 mile. And they're coming through to see 3 to go. 3 to go, riders. 3 laps to go. And that looks like Frank Treveso on the front there from Chad Connolly to Rob Mayfield to Gary Morgan. Gary cannot get off the track this evening. They call it the best addiction to have. Cycling, it's completely uncurable, thank goodness. Still Frank coming through there, but he's got a sideline attack coming in from Rob Mayfield. Chad Conley stays third wheel, Gary Morgan stays fourth wheel, and there's some shifting and there's some moving at the back of the pack. Bell ringing, 1 to go, 1 to go, 1 to go. Still looking like Rob Mayfield on the front. Riders taking a close line as they come round. The field still bunched together. This is a good grouping. It's down to the wire. Frank Treveso takes that one. Looked like Chad Conley in second, but I'll wait for the officials to round it out. Ladies, it is our women's 10 a lap scratch. Riders, please give these gentlemen a chance to unwind. They are moving at speed. As soon as these riders clear, ladies, you have the rail. Ladies, to the boards, please. Ladies, to the boards, please. We will get you going as quickly as we can. 2 riders left up front. Miss Kim Fuller. Following her to the rail, Christina Panella. Careful. No stunt riding this evening, please. Just because you conquered the Masters fields. 5 laps on the board. Ladies, you good with that? I'm taking it on board. That whistle was their start as well. So Kim and Christine firing it up. Sprint quarterfinals up next. Sprint quarterfinals up next. Ladies, coming in to see 2 to go, 2 to go, 2 to go. And we're back to our sprint rounds, quarterfinals. Winner to the semis, loser into the 5 through 8. Heat 1, Nick and Valentine. Heat 2, Kevin and Frank. Heat 3, Howard and Chad. Heat 4, Matteo and Andrew. Ladies will be coming in to hear the bell with 1 to go. 1 to go for the ladies, 1 to go. Nick and Valentine, you will be up next. Please, riders, make sure you have a holder. Just checking the camera is rolling for this finish. Racers coming in for the finish. The camera is rolling for the photos. And Christina Panella powers down the home stretch to take the win there over Kim. Sprint quarters, Nick and Valentine up first. Holder, please. We do need a holder over here. Looks like we got 2. Kevin and Frank up next. Howard and Chad rounding it out. Matteo and Andrew. And our race is underway. Our first quarterfinal. Strike leads Valentine on corners 3 and 4. And as these two come in to hear the bell, looking for Kevin and Frank. Kevin and Frank.
I need sprinter stage, please.
If we could be staged as close as we can to our start position. And Nick brings that home. Be our first semi-finalist. Kevin and Frank up next. Kevin O'Donnell leads us out, rider number 1. Frank, sitting about the same height on the track, keeping a close eye on Kevin's every move. Heat 3, Howard and Chad. Heat 3, Howard and Chad. Guys, if we can be ready to go as quick as we can.
Heat 3, please.
There's the bell for our heat number 2. And it's Frank that puts the power down for the home stretch. Kevin comes round in corners 1 and 2. And Kevin takes himself into the semi-finals. Frank takes himself into the 5 through 8. Two more heats in this heat and the one after. Matteo and Andrew. Guys, please be close, be ready. We want to get this moving through as quick as we can. As soon as we complete these sprint quarters, we will be on our Masters 10-lap scrap, Masters 10-lap scratch, and then we jump straight back to our sprint semis. Masters 10-lap scratch after these heats. And as Howard leads them through with the bell, Howard, rider 15, darker blue kit, leading it down the back stretch. Chad off the saddle, both off the saddle. Chad closing that gap and wanting to come round Howard in corners 3 and 4. But it's Howard still on the gas and still with the front wheel as they come in. And it is Howard to the line with that one. Saw Howard a week ago lighting it up at track, Masters and Nationals in Rock Hill, and he's doing the same tonight. Matteo and Andrew, our final heat in these quarterfinals. Nick, Kevin and Howard so far advanced to the semis. Valentine, Frank and Chad, they go 5 through 8. Final quarterfinal underway. Andrew leads us round the stay line, the blue line in the center of the track. Matteo in the zebra stripes following him slightly higher on the track. Masters 10-lap scratch. A Masters 10-lap scratch up next. And then we jump straight into our semi-finals. And our riders bring it in for a fast finish. It's Matteo on the gas with the front wheel, but it's Andrew advancing. And it does look like Andrew takes a semi-final slot. Matteo, not done yet with the match sprints. He'll go 5 through 8. Masters. A Masters. 10 lap scratch. Keep an eye over the right shoulder. 2 riders coming off the track. Masters to the boards, please. One more call for any Masters. Quick definition for our spectator field. That is 40 plus today. Masters. Any other Masters for the rail? That's it. 3 riders. Five laps is agreed. The Masters go off. Sprint semi-finalists. Heat 1 will be Nick against Andrew. Heat 2, Kevin against Howard. Seeing 3 laps to go. Riders from the blue line. So, rider number 10, Gary Morgan, pulling these guys round. That should be Chris Freeman in the multicolored with yellow on them. And the rider on the blue line, Michael Tharp. Sprint semi-finals, Nick v. Andrew with holders. Kevin with Howard are 2 semi-finals. Riders coming in, 1 to go. Gary Morgan comes powering through. Chris Freeman on his wheel. Michael Tharp looking to close that gap. Chris closing in on Gary. Gary with the full legs of riding this afternoon and this evening. Has Gary got the legs to hold it to the line? It's head down and go. It's a bike throw finish, and I'll wait for the judges to call that one. Chris Freeman by the thickness of a tyre to Gary Morgan in second place. Looking for Nick and Andrew. Nick Oosterike, Andrew Hodges to the start position, please. Looking for Andrew Hodges. Where are you, Andrew? Howard and Kevin up next. Howard Buckley, Kevin O'Donnell. You guys will be up next, 2 laps away from your semi-final. Following our 2 semi-finals, our B and C group combined for their 10-lap scratch. B and C group, 10-lap scratch. Following the BC 10-lap scratch, it'll be sprint 5 through 8 final. Our A group with a final 10-lap scratch, and then bronze medal 3 and 4, and then our final. First semi-final, Mr. Nick Oosterijk leads out Andrew Hodges. Nick continues to lead it into corner number 3. And as they come out of corner 4, they'll start to hear the bell, indicating just 1 lap to go. Still, Nick leading it down the home stretch to the bell. 1 to go, 1 to go. Andrew keeping very well tucked in behind Nick there. Did he lose a little bit of gas? Not quite enough to come round. Nick taking it into our first final. Andrew heads into our battle for bronze. Nick will head in there for the battle for gold. And rider number 1, Kevin O'Donnell, leads out. Rider number 15, Howard Buckley. Kevin takes Howard high to the boards as they come out of corner 2. Howard continues to stay high. Kevin nudging. Does not want Howard underneath him. Howard drops and comes down. Kevin on the front of the 2 of them as they come down the back stretch. There's no gap. Howard is not giving an inch in this, and Howard now looks to make the move. Kevin holds on to put himself in the final. Howard will do battle with Andrew for bronze. B, C, 10-lap scratch. B and C riders to the boards, please. B and C riders to the boards. Any B and C riders left to the boards? Final call, B and C riders to the boards, please. The whistle goes, the riders become racers, and we are under race conditions. John Everest on the front of the field. as they go into the backstretch for the very first time. 10 laps on the board. Gives our sprinters a breath of fresh air. 5 through 8 up next. Valentin, Frank, Chad and Matteo. 5 through 8 up next. Chad, Frank, Valentin and Maddie. Riders, 3 to go. Riders, 3 to go. 3 to go. The race has been shortened. Riders, 3 to go. It's Chris Freeman on the front as he leads it down the backstretch. John Everest sitting tight on his wheel. Chris Freeman will be the first rider to see. 2 to go. John Everest, John Tomlinson sitting in tight as well. And as the bell rings, over the top, look like Quinn Shearer coming down there. And on the front there now, Emery, Hancock, John Everest makes a move over the top, but that looks secure placings for first, second, third. We'll see. Will it change across the line? Up next is our 5 through 8 finals. 5 through 8 finals. 5 through 8 finals. Valentin, Frank, Chad and Matty. To the boards. Valentin, Frank, Chad and Matty. To the boards, please. This is the GC positioning for our sprints. It is position 5 through 8. Moneymaker positions. Chad Connolly leads Frank Travieso to Valentin to Maddie. Two of these guys are going to be in the money. 40 for the 5th place. 20 for the 6th place. First rider across the line equates to 5th place. Maddie can't wait. He sees money. He sees maybe some Kit Kat money on the board, but it's enough to make that race come alive. Chad Connolly says, "Where's money on the tables? I want it in my wallet." Chad on the chase. Frank Travieso. Valentin tucked in behind. Frank rounds us out with our 4 riders. Into the home stretch for the bell. Quick glance from Maddie. He sees big Chad Connolly chasing him down. Frank closes the gap. Valentin stuck using the draft for every advantage. down the back stretch, goes spinning. Chad Conley to Frank, to Valentine. It was Maddie made it exciting from the line. Now lining it up for the finish. Frank to Chad, Valentine sneaking in there, and Maddie rolling it out, putting in 4th in this, but 8th on the GC. Our next event up will be our 10-lap A scratch race. We'll give these guys a chance to unwind, and then we'll call people to the rails. A riders to the boards, please. A riders to the boards.
I have no idea. I've tried that. Because only really talking, and you keep talking, it might bleed through.
Like, really, but not like me talking over the rail doesn't go into the...
It shouldn't.
I've got wind mufflers if you need me to use that to take. That'll help.
I don't think it. Who cares? I've got a chop filter on it. I have no idea.
We're still gonna be 10 o'clock.
We'll have to listen to it tomorrow or next week and find out what we did wrong. Hopefully we won't get flagged for copyright again. Good thing I brought 2 of those. I don't remember needing lights. I got another one.
Oh no, I have a light also. It's just super helpful. I forget because on Wednesday night it gets so hard at the end. If someone turns that side off, and I'm up here by myself, and I'm like, oh.
Riders are rolling. Our starter gets them underway immediately. And we'll get this lit up and moving. As they come down the backstretch, Valentine, Gary Morgan, Chad Conley, Nat Worcester, all sitting up front at this stage. Nat drops it down, just a little acceleration. Flattens that field into a pace line. Nat to Valentine to Gary. To Dan Brewer, rider 56, just had to look that up. Little reshuffle, Gary Morgan on the front, Dan Brewer, Nat, Frank Travieso fits in behind Nat. A lot of sprints undertaken this evening. Some of these legs a lot tireder than others. Dan Brewer setting that pace on the front. Nat happy to take over. Frank Travieso now on the front. Any rider pulling off is going to be looking for a gap to get back in. Going down, 3 on the board. Riders, 3 on the board. Shorten race, 3 on the board. 3 on the board. 3 on the board, shortening the race. Frank Travieso says goodbye and is down the road. Counter attack, Nat Worcester goes over the top. Valentine looks for a wheel. Whistle going, whistle going. Race is called, safely to the apron, safely to the apron. Thank you, riders. Thank you, riders, for very quick response. A-Riders, bringing you back to the board, guys. A-Riders to the board. Okay, we're going to give these guys another chance. Let's hope Mother Nature will give us a chance. 10 riders out there and lining it up. Chad Conley looked like he want to make this move. Nat Worcester low down on the track. He's looking for some company on the front there. 2 riders come across. Valentine, Dan Brewer. Dan with an attack. And it is Dan Brewer off the front with pace. Valentine Todoro goes with him. Nat Worcester looking to close that gap and hang on. Riders seeing 8. Seeing 8 and looking comfy. Now we'll look back and let's see who the challenge is coming in from. It looks like Rob Mayfield, 59, on his own there in no man's land as the 3 group it together. Rob in no man's land between the 3 and the 6, and it's Frank Travieso was on the front of that 6. But it's Nat drives it down as sees 7 to go as the rest of the field come through. And Nat takes his half lap, leads it over to Dan. Valentine locks in tight behind. Nat jumps on the back. Rob still with those guys in sight, looking to hold on to their tail if he can get that closed. Chad Conley with a big move, looking to join. It's a 5 and 5 split. 1 rider off the back is Gary Morgan. 3 riders gas on, back over to Nat on the front. Nat to Dan to Valentine. Nat pulls up. Is that going to break it apart? Dan does not want to pull up. He wants that to drive on. Looks like Nat's looking for a place to come back in. Valentine pulls up. He's been on the attack in the 5 through 8. He's been on the attack with many of the sprint events. Let's see how this comes back together. Still, Dan Brewer on the front. Rider 10 withdraws. And it's still Dan pulling on the front of this by himself now. Chad Conley with the counter attack with the rest of the field being made up of 7 riders. Dan coming through, 4 on the board. It's Valentine on the front driving that back. Rob Mayfield to Frank Travieso. Andrew Hodges will be our second wheel to Frank Travieso. But solo effort, Dan Brewer coming back in. 3 to go. 3 to go. Near enough a kilometre, not exact. But we give it to the track with 3 to go. Dan Brewer looking behind, sees Frank Travieso bridging that gap. Eases up, lets Frank through and then says, I want a piece of that wheel. It's going to do some work to get on the back there. Frank Travieso turning it on with 2 to go. 2 to go as Big Frank comes through. Dan Brewer and then Matty joining in the action. Valentine to Chad to Rob Mayfield on the back there. And it's Jorge dropping off the pace. It's electric out there as they come round, lighting it up with 1 to go. 1 to go. Frank Travieso, Matty with him. Matty puts in the attack. He counters it back from Frank. Now Chad Conley with the big attack down that back stretch. There's a wheel to follow. Matty wants the wheel and takes it on. The work Frank has done. Hopefully we'll secure this in for third, but it's all coming down the back stretch. Bing bong takes it again. Chad Conley, he cannot stay off the top of the table. Matty into second. Dan Brewer was 56 in third. I'm thinking Frank Travieso should have held on for fourth. Rob Mayfield taking it down for fifth place. 2 events to round us out. Sprint finals, third and fourth will go first. Third and fourth will go first, which should be Andrew and Howard. Andrew and Howard will battle it for third and fourth. Nick and Kevin up straight after. And off we go for third and fourth place. The start of our big money positions in our sprint tournament this evening. Howard, number 15, leads it out as Andrew Hodges, slightly higher up the track, is starting to think, what am I going to throw down in this one? Howard maintains to push Andrew high against the boards. We'll have Nick and Kevin up next. Howard's creeping this pace up and brings it down the home stretch to hear the bell. Howard driving the pace. Andrew looking to stay in that slipstream. What's Andrew got down this back stretch? Andrew puts it on, but Howard counters and holds it through 3 and out of 4. Howard countering as hard as Andrew can attack. .49 is the call. Andrew Hodges takes that one. Great hometown, home track rivalry for the East Point Riders. Down to the wire, down to the tactics. riding for the big money pot now. Leading it out, Mr. Nick Oosterijk. I want to say that says rider 37 on his back, if my eyes are good enough. Rider number 1 following Kevin O'Donnell. Nick leads it round as they come back into the home stretch. Hearing the bell with 1 to go. Nick's number is actually 31. I made a bit of a mistake with the old eyes there. Nick continues to lead it as it goes down that back stretch. Kevin's attacks start. Nick's counters holding strong, but it's to the line. And Nick holds it on. Taking the sprint night to the final, Nick Oosterijk rounds it out. Kevin O'Donnell in 2nd position. It rounds out our racing for this evening. We will commence racing promptly tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And tomorrow, our Omnium program. 6 races, 6 rides. So look for our Omnium champion by the end of the evening. Rounding out the evening with our Madison extravaganza.